Hello, everyone, and welcome to a Songbox session, a series of webinars we run with a range of people that we're connected with in the music industry and people that I believe will be able to share a lot of very valuable information and maybe give some pointers in the right direction, and also people you can engage with as well during the course of the webinar through a Q&A and everything like that. House rules are very simple on the webinar. I've admitted everyone in. Latecomers will be admitted as well. And also we have kind of a running order in sections. So we'll have a first part where I'll introduce Jodie Bryant, who's our guest, BBC Radio 1 DJ. Then we'll talk specifically about her process for accepting music and how her and her team would choose music to be played on a radio show or featured on our social media channels. And then we'll specifically discuss songs that have actually been submitted to this webinar. We've had hundreds of songs admitted to the webinar, which is absolutely amazing response. And thank you everyone for taking the time to do that. Some people I know won't have submitted music, they're just curious, and that's great. And hopefully there's some learnings, some information, maybe some light entertainment, and some great music for everyone during the course of this. And I'll first of all start by introducing myself. My name is Kieran, co-founder of Songbox, along with Mick and Bryan. We've been going 4 years now, actually, and we're all music industry people, different places. Mick, professional musician turned software engineer. Bryan, an incredibly successful global musician over the last 40 years. And myself, I seem to be not as good at playing music as I am at picking music. Professional DJ for about 30 music, and I've also worked in radio for nearly 30 years as a music programmer. So between myself, Mick, and Bryan, we bring a lot of experience to Songbox and why we built Songbox for you and for everyone. And also listening to you and the feedback we get from not just our partners, but people who maybe don't use Songbox, but engage with us in different ways. And we've worked to develop the product to really help independent musicians, managers, publishers, labels, producers, engineers, everyone. Now, most important thing I'll probably tell you is that this isn't a sales pitch. This is a conversation. And the most important thing in the conversation is the music. And it's the artist and the producer and everything that goes in and around that. And hopefully this helps you. So let's crack on. We'll be here for about 30 to 40 minutes. Hopefully everyone can stay with us. The chat is open to say hello. Great to hear from so many people already in the chat, like Isaac, MZ, Johnny, Will, Lucy, Cindy. Thank you. And thank you everyone who's lurking in the background. It's my pleasure to introduce Jodie Bryant now to air. Here we go. Hello, Jodie.
Hi, thank you so
Hello.
much. Hi, everyone. So many people here.
There's a lot of people. There are
Gosh,
hundreds of people. And
crazy.
thank you for taking the time on a Tuesday evening. I will point out there's people from all over the world here. So from Canada to the US, to Western Europe, Eastern Europe, India. So it's all different times of the day. So we won't say.
Well, hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good day wherever you are.
So let's just get straight into it, Jodie. For you and your journey, I'm a bit long in the tooth now, and the music industry has changed so much since I was working in radio and programming music and things like that. Some things have remained the same, but a lot has changed. But why did you originally get into radio and get into independent artists and the music scene and everything like that yourself? Tell us a bit about your story.
Um, okay, so I first got into radio when I went to university and I heard about this thing called student radio, which sounded like the best thing ever because people could basically do the radio, but you didn't have to, there were no rules. So I was like, immediately was obsessed with the idea of doing that because I loved listening to the radio when I was going to school. I was obsessed with the Radio 1 breakfast show, Capital breakfast show, Kiss breakfast show. And I was like, I really want to do that. So like first day of uni, went up to the head of student radio and I was like, I want the breakfast show. And they were like, you can have it because at uni it's much easier to get on the radio than it is in real life. So I did like a weekly, or maybe it was like every 2 weeks breakfast show on like a Wednesday or something. And I just kind of started getting sent all this music. And I didn't really realize that that could happen. I got sent music by artists, but like Wolf Alice, Blossoms,
Yeah.
this guy called Adi Suleiman, Laurel Kana, like all these emails were coming to my email. And I was like, these are really good. And that was kind of at the start of, or like a lot earlier in these artists' journeys. And I managed to like get interviews with all these amazing people, and watch how that kind of unfolded. And then I became the head of music at my radio station, my student radio station, got even more interviews, more music sent to me, went to more gigs. And after that, I realized that playing new music on the radio was such an exciting space. And I really enjoyed kind of discovering artists and then seeing what would happen. And seeing if I had good taste. And it turns out I do.
You do. I've listened to your show on the radio and follow your social media to see what music you're picking out. I still play new music every week as I DJ,
Nice.
and I have an interest in it. So from student radio to Radio One, that's like a leap, right?
Yeah.
So talk about that leap.
So that leap was a very, very, very long leap. A lot of people don't realize how long that leap takes. I actually also thought that leap wouldn't take as long as it did, but it did. Basically, I always wanted to be on Radio 1. I was obsessed with Radio 1. It was always the dream. And in student radio, I went to all these talks and like met all the people and like networked a lot, which is what I also advise, anyone going into the creative industries, presenter, artist, whatever, to just go and network because that is like the most valuable thing that you can do. Like, who cares about what degree I did? Networking with all the people was what got me to like the next level. So then I like this is such a long story, so I'll fast forward a bit. But ended up getting work experience at Capital, then kind of getting some at Capital London, then getting a job at a new classical music station, and then getting a job at Kiss FM. And then all this time I was like doing new music, had a show on a community station called Hoxton Radio. In COVID, I had my own podcast, did a lot on Instagram Live with new music. And then I basically just kept sending demos to Radio 1, kept meeting them, kept chatting to them, kept getting rejected by them.
Of course.
So many times, so many times. And then finally, in 2022, I got asked to cover one show. And then I didn't get asked to cover another show until the end of the next year.
Wow.
And then I got asked to cover a show 6 months later. And then I got asked to cover a show 3 months later. And then I got like more and more. And now I'm like doing it every week.
There's a lot of lessons there, and just ask a couple of questions around that, like rejection. Right, first of all, in the music industry, it's built on relationships, right? So always be cool,
Yes.
because it's always about meeting people, making those connections, and it's a journey, right? It's not a sprint. It is a long journey, and you've got to be resilient as well because you will get rejected. I think between ourselves, Jodie, and everybody on this webinar, we've all been
Yeah.
rejected,
Yeah.
and we will be rejected again. And the best thing about getting rejected is you build that resilience, which you absolutely need for your journey. And with that rejection, and that was a long leap. That's a great way you framed how you eventually got to Radio 1. And the answer is persistence, right? Persistence
Yeah.
and talent, of course, but persistence
Yeah. I
is a
mean,
big
not
part of it.
not talent at the beginning. I mean, I thought I left uni and I was like to my parents, I was like, guys, I'm going to be on Radio 1. And they were like, not sure, Jodes. And I was like, no, I am. And they were like, hmm. And yeah, I wasn't ready then. But by the time I got there, I was like, I'm ready. And like, you do suddenly feel ready, which
Yeah.
is interesting, I
Uh,
thought.
you know, timing is so important, but you know, when you're ready, you're ready. And I know that
Yeah.
sounds general, but that's all again all part of the journey. So on that journey and you know, getting those shows and you know, listening and playing and supporting new music, I suppose what challenges did you have that shaped your approach to new music and to sourcing music and I suppose your view on supporting new artists?
What challenges? I would say honestly, the challenge has always been the amount to get through
Huh.
because you don't want to miss anything good, but it's simply impossible to hear everything. It's not enough hours in the day. Um, and it's just been like it's I find it like a talent to be able to kind of sift through.
Hmm.
But obviously, it's a challenge to not be able to get through all of it. And it's a challenge to, not be able to reply to everyone, especially
Yes.
when I've also faced people not replying. But it's just the way life goes. But one day, like someone will reply, like you will get a reply. Um, but yeah, I feel like in the creative industry, it's just so funny that we're an industry where it's acceptable to just not reply.
Yeah.
Like I've had emails, I've had like an email, like I've had emails that I've never been replied to people that I've met, and I'm like, I know this is your email, but like they've just never replied.
I I I recognize that, and I don't know. I think I'm a soft touch because I have a thing about trying to reply to everyone, and it's nearly impossible. Like of all,
You're great. Guys, Kieran here is amazing at replying to emails. I'll look away from my screen and he'll have replied, and I'm like, oh my God, I've taken 7 days to reply to this.
I well, there's levels, right? Because I spent a lot of time listening to the submissions we got first of all, just to make sure they were intact. And I spotted
Yeah,
one or two people I gave a little pointer to, but I replied to everyone because like this is what I do, and it's what Mick does, and it's what you do, and we really are all about this. But like there's a funny one. I spoke to a guy, Steve, a Canadian, real music industry veteran, and like I'd emailed him 5 times trying to have a conversation with him.
yeah.
He wanted to like call the police, but eventually I got a conversation, you know. But just you know, to networking, communicating is so important, and you know, being again being cool how you communicate. Like just sometimes people are slow replying, sometimes they won't, don't take it personally,
Yeah,
and just be really succinct in what you're trying to say to someone because everyone is super busy. And I
yeah.
think that point will come to later in this session when we talk about how to, I suppose, pitch for Airplay. But one kind of last question with what you've learned about the pure volume of submissions, any kind of how has that shaped your perspective on new music from maybe when you started and you were naive to it all
Yeah,
to where
yeah,
you are now where you're operating at, let's be honest, the absolute peak
mm,
of radio internationally?
yeah. No, I think it's really interesting because, yeah, when I was at uni and was head of music and was getting, sent a few songs a day from pluggers or labels, going to like some gigs that were really cool, and I liked playing new music. I then like grew a love for it, but then kind of went out and found it on my own because I wasn't like working in new music. I wasn't really doing too much. I was just like kind of finding my feet. So I was like going out finding artists I like, and I was being like, oh, like Griff, like Arlo Parks, like Lauren Hibbard, like I love your music, like Dylan, I love your music. Can I interview you? Can you do this? Can you do this? And I was getting all these great interviews and finding it myself. But then I think the turning point came when I started to uh, do my new music night called Discover Live. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there. Discover Live. And because I thought basically it had been COVID, a lot of venues had shut down. There are a lot of artists that had missed out on support slots, a lot of tours had been cancelled. And artists just had less places to perform. So I set up this night because I was like, artists need somewhere to perform. And I'd done a few shows on BBC Introducing by then, and I'd realized how saturated the submissions were. So I was like, they need somewhere else for artists to like perform and like show themselves to the music industry. And I made a video and I was like, are you a new artist that wants to play a new music night in London? Like I do this and this. And it got like 11K views on Instagram. And at the time, well, still, I think anything above 10K views, I still get excited about.
Yeah.
I feel like other people probably agree with that. I feel like just seeing that 10K is nice. But yeah, that was like 3 years ago now. But when I put that video out and saw it go crazy, I was like, oh my God, like there's a real load of independent artists here. It's not just like artists who are maybe freshly signed or like getting plugged to me. Like it's proper like new
Yeah.
artists. And then that's when I realized like, oh my God, there's so much to do here.
There's so
So
much to do.
yeah, that
There's so much to do.
yeah.
To that point, what like let's move on to let's get into specifically good ways of pitching, right? Not necessarily how to pitch, and I'll talk about that in a moment. But from what you've learned to date, is there any kind of is there one or two good pieces of advice you would give to an independent emerging artist?
Um, the advice I would give when you pitch is one, don't just try once because that just will not, like, you might get missed. You might be on a really busy day. The person might be on holiday. They might be getting tagged in loads of stuff that day. Like, you might just not see it. They might just not see it. But also, I would say adding like a personal reason in the first kind of sentence really like captures, I know, mine and other presenters' attention. So it's like, it's, even if it's like, Jodie, you added my song before to your playlist, like here's my new one. I already see that and I'm like, and now that everyone's going to do that and just lie, but I see that and I'm like, oh, I must have liked the song before, so like this is definitely worth giving a listen to. Or it'll be like, Jodie, I know you love this artist, which shows that they like have listened to me and have a knowledge of me. They're like, oh, Jodie, I know you love Griff, and I think this song has, Griff potential. Like, what do you think? Like that would get my attention more than just a cold calling, hi, this is my new song, would love to know what you think, because that's not personal to me. Even though I would love to listen to that song and I might listen to that song, I'm less likely to see that message and be like, oh, I must do that, because
Yeah.
they've probably sent that to loads of people and not taken. I think it's really worth taking the time to just add a bit of a personal touch to each pitch rather than like cold calling like 50 DMs at once.
So I completely agree with that, and I would relate that to the world at large because the world is a very, very busy place, and the internet, the web, online,
The
whatever,
World
right?
Wide
I'm
Web.
such a boomer. Is a very noisy place, and nothing beats a human connection. And I say that because I actually send a lot of emails every day just to speak to people in the industry to try to grow Songbox, but also just to kind of speak to people in the industry to learn from. And I get ignored most of the time, all the
Yeah.
time. And then sometimes people like reply to me unsubscribe, and I'm like, then I reply like, you're not subscribed. I'm literally actually emailing,
Ah,
and it's not AI and it's not automation. And I do try to look at their artists or their business and say something semi personal in it. So I totally agree with that. Is like be human and have a
mm,
human touch. So to build on this and to talk specifically about gaining airplay or getting on a playlist, right? Whether that's at a radio station or even whether it's with, and I'm sure people you and I both know, at some of the major music streaming services, like let's talk about laying foundations here. How to do that outreach and how to probably get some airplay. And I suppose for clarity, and I'm going to say the obvious, but like for everyone on the webinar and everyone who may watch this later at a later date, like the submitting is is nothing is guaranteed ever, and I would think most people know that. But it's like, to what you said, is don't try it once, keep trying, and try lots of different ways. Don't just shoot
Yeah.
for the BBC. Also shoot for community radio. Also shoot for a playlist. Also shoot for an independent person. But something you mentioned about that human touch and about throwing it out there. How much do you think how you submit your track matters as much as the track itself?
Um, I think it matters that it's like not a file that you have to like download to your computer or your phone. Like that's really like no one's got room or time to do that. I think a direct link is always really good, which is obviously why Songbox is great because it's all just there. Um, you know, that's Songbox is what the BBC introducing uploader actually looks like, pretty much. It's actually like a higher tech version
Yeah.
of that, but it's good because basically like a presenter or like a whoever can look at that artist page and see, everything, which is great. I can't remember the question, sorry.
Well, actually, you've led me on to another question, so forget that one, right? But building now on this, what do you think are essential elements then? So when you get your pitches, and I looked at a lot of the submissions today and over the last 48 hours, and some people will just send the track with
Yeah,
literally just the name of the song. Okay, cool.
yeah.
But then some people send me the why they wrote the song, and
Mm.
or some people will send like a video and all. It's great. But what do you think are the must include elements? People can include lots of stuff. What are the
Um,
must include elements for you?
I honestly think the must include element is normally what really catches my eye is I love like a grabby title. I know it's like don't read a book by its cover, but it's like, if you're like bang bang, like it's got a name that's not like something really generic. It's probably more likely to like just make a bit of like gain attention in my mind.
Yeah.
But I also think it's really important to just say in a short way why it's worth listening to. Like, if you don't know, like, I know so many artists who are like, I want to be a pop star, like, I want to do this, I want to be a rock star. And then I'm like, well, what's your thing? And they're like, oh, don't know what the thing is. And I'm like, well, if you don't know, this is like going into my TikTok advice now. But like, if you don't know what you're selling, which because you're selling your song, even if people just stream it and you get 0.02p or something, but you're like wanting people to listen to it, you need to know like why should you be the next Ed Sheeran, like
Yeah.
why should you be the next Sabrina Carpenter, but not in an essay form.
Yeah. And in fact, I was just people, an amazing community already here on the webinar who've all said hello to each other and to me and you, Jodie, which is very polite of them. But
Hi.
I see Becca has wrote, getting your pitch down to a quick and effective sentence is so hard, but actually, that's kind of what you got to do. You got to get that pitch in a sentence, right? And
Yeah.
so to that point, like you talk about the must includes, but from everything you've learned and you've observed as well, and you probably think about, what would be like your pro tips, like pro Jody? What are like
um
smart moves?
I think for general pitching, as like to BBC introducing, to Spotify, to like community station, personal messaging people, as well as saying like in short the why, obviously a Spotify link or a Songbox link or a SoundCloud link, like a quick link. Um, I think it's really like what really stands out to me is when there's been like a significant kind of fan interaction. Like it almost already shows like you're on it as an artist. Like I always talk about this artist now, but she found me as like one of my like pitches for artists. I was like, submit your music to me on TikTok, whatever. And she's called Isabella Marsden. And she's been like slowly chipping away, like building this fan base. And she posts all the videos with like the Zoom hangouts, like hundreds and hundreds of people. And I've kind of been working with her for like 2 years. She's played a few of my events. I really like her music. And like I'm now just from like a kind of Instagram connection and like getting her to maybe play a few of my nights. I'm like watching her and being like, "Ooh, this is really interesting." So it's like if you've got anything like that to show where your fans, you're already on it with the fans, because really what the music industry is looking for is someone that's gaining traction.
Yeah. And
Yes, Lucy Isabella is so good.
there
She
you go.
is, isn't she?
Lucy knows. Lucy knows.
Yeah.
So if yeah, like numbers do matter. They're not to be all and end all, right? Because
Yeah,
at the end
no,
of the day,
yeah.
it's art, it's not math, right? But
But
numbers
it's
matter.
more but it's more like, yeah, if you can get, 10, 15 people in a Zoom call to to like make paper signs for you or friendship bracelets, or like come and meet you in a park and like play songs to them acoustically on a guitar.
Yeah,
Like that's really impressive.
that is impressive. Yeah. And
Um
it's cool as well.
and it doesn't matter if it's, like it doesn't matter if it's 5, 10, 15 people or like 50 people, because essentially that's what artists right now who are doing really well, like artists like Alessi Rose, Erin LeCount, who are like kind of really up and coming pop girlies.
Yeah.
That's what they've like built their success on, and they're doing really well.
Brilliant. Brilliant. I've one more question. It's a simple one, and then let's get into the submissions we've had, because I can't wait to get your take, but I've been blown away by the quality and variety. But just before we get into submissions, what do you think? So you just gave your pro tips, but what are some common mistakes people can make apart from typos?
Yeah, typos are bad. When you get someone's name wrong, it's like, not that I don't really care. Like I'm not like offended, but it just shows a lack of care.
Yeah,
Um, because you're like, well, this is clearly just a copy and paste job. So like, why? Why should I listen when
yeah,
I've got lots of others to listen to? So just don't copy and paste. And if you do, don't use a name because you will mess it up.
you will mess up.
Um, what else would I say? I'd say another error is like pestering too much,
Yeah,
like to the point where it's like, you know, 3, 4 messages a week, and you're like, no, like I can't keep up with this. Obviously it might work, because if the song is amazing and you're like, fine, like got their attention, because you will get their attention if you're doing that.
yeah,
And if it's amazing, like fair play, like it probably will work. But if, you're right at the start of your journey and it's not like gonna floor someone, they're probably not gonna like it if you pester them too much.
yeah. It's like, despite it being digital and to a degree faceless, do you think about online as real life? Would you really knock on
Yeah,
someone's door 3, 4 times a week like
yeah,
that and
exactly.
follow them to the coffee shop? No, just be cool. Just be
Yeah,
cool and be patient to a degree.
yeah. And also like not engaging with that person. Like I've had artists, a lot of artists now who have played my event and who I've played even on Radio 1 or on my show on Voices Radio, who have really supported my endeavors, my new music event, like my TikTok as a presenter, like my YouTube show, and they've like been invested. And so I like know them. So we've like built a relationship. So then I'm more likely to obviously listen to their music, put it on my playlist, put them on my event, like da, 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 da. Like it's all like such a slow burner. Like it's, if you expect anything to happen immediately, it won't.
It won't. Exactly. Great. And look, that's great advice and great observations. And yeah, I totally relate and agree to that. So let's put that into practice, right? Because I asked
Mhm.
for submissions,
Yes.
and I was like, I know you already get lots of music every day, Jodie, but how about some more? How about we listen to them, and you pick three as a section, and I'm going to ask you about the songs, but what I would say about the submissions is, well, this is my opinion.
Yeah.
There's no bad music. There's maybe music you don't like, but there's no bad music, right? And
Hmm.
art is art, and it's your interpretation of it. And some people like certain genres, some don't, whatever. Um, and how you pick music, I'm sure you're going to tell us about, but like the quality of what we've been sent is, I actually messaged Mick and I was like, Mick, Mick Cole, my co-founder, and I was like, listen to this
Yeah.
is brilliant. So
Yeah.
like just picking out of the hundreds we had, I just wanted to name check a few people. Hugo, Bob Tyler, Madison Coleman, MZ Eleonora, James Pacey, the band The Pavilion, Ewan Blackman, Max Ryan, Emma C, Jason Edwards, Megan, Cindy Louise, the band North Star.
Yeah.
Also, we've had Steph, Jahan, Marcus Rowe, Liv Weston, Evan Smith, Catherine Fearon, Charlie Beth, Jay Mira, Isaac Nielsen, Michael Avery, Dylan Cooper, Joseph James, Jess
Whoa.
Barnes, Sharwin, Sean Lomas, Lucy Crisp, Maya, Marta, Serena, and I'm probably missing. There's too many. Kiara Noble
Yeah.
as well.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
I hear a lot of those. I recognize their names as well, and I know they are
we
extremely talented.
it's amazing. We had the band The Rasmus submit. Absolutely brilliant band.
Yeah.
Lova, a Swedish singer. It's been nothing short of phenomenal quality. A band called
Yeah.
St. Catherine's Child and Sam Robbins, and the list goes on and on and on and on and on. And I think it comes back to what you said at the very beginning. There's so much music. It's unbelievable. So
Yeah.
let's get down to three you picked. We're not saying they're the best three, they're just three you picked.
Yeah.
And I'd like to know kind of the rhyme and reason why you chose them. So getting into the submissions, you chose three songs. And I suppose my question would be, why did you choose them? And I suppose we can focus it one at a time and I can play a little
Yeah.
of the music. So who would you like to talk about first?
I think let's talk about Marta.
Marta. Okay, I've got Marta here, and I remember this song. I listened this morning, and it's very catchy. So
Yes.
let's play a little clip of Marta just now for everyone.
You're in the front row sipping on my martini. There's something mesmerizing by the way you see me. You told your cat best friend and your family. Oh really? You're in the comments, saw it coming, but I can't believe it. It's giving love, so promise to never leave me. Don't even think about it. I cannot be without you. Oh, what the hell would I do? You're the reason I'm up in the morning, in the morning, in the morning. You're the reason that I keep going. Fine girls make the world go round. Fine girls turn it upside down. Fine girls always singing loud. They go.
Right, there's 1 minute of Marta, right? And there's a lot going on in that minute. So what stood out for you in that study? And I'm just going to share my screen so people can see what Marta
Yes.
submitted as well to bring to life
Cool,
the
cool.
visual
Yeah.
element of it all.
Okay, so this one stood out to me because so you obviously like whittled down some of the suggestions because there were so many. And I listened to like a lot of them. But this one stood out because I think it has such a good pace for a pop song, which is really important. Like I couldn't actually see the timing, but I think we were like into like the pre-chorus and then the chorus by under a minute, which is really important for radio play and just like a pop song as well, I think, because you're like straight into it. You know, we've got these big pop stars now making songs that are really short. They're getting into the chorus like very fast. I also just, I think we're on the wrong page, Karen, you know.
Are we?
This is that was Jess Martin, who's going to be next.
Who's
But
going to be next, right?
I
My
also
bad.
like, that's all right. Like I mentioned earlier, the name Fangirl, obviously Fangirls. So, um, obviously I don't know. I have a YouTube show called Fangirl Files, which is dedicated to fangirls, and I just think the messaging of this song is really important to the music industry right now because fangirls and fanboys are like carrying the music industry right now, and a lot of people just don't appreciate that, and they get a bad rep. And I just have such sympathy and not sympathy, like empathy for fangirls and fans and super fans because they're so important and everyone needs them and every artist in this chat needs one. So again, title caught my eye, song was great, and yeah, I just think it's a very like it's a concise idea. It's a really like executed really well. So I think it's basically a perfect pop song. So well done, Marta.
So I love that, Jodie. Do you know why? Because you've really thought about it. Like coming back to my like when I was listening to a lot of music and programming radio, like really I would do like the 30-second skip. It's like 5 seconds at the start,
Yeah.
10 seconds in the middle, 10 seconds maybe to and you got to pick up the song structure. But you've really thought about it because you're looking at it visually, you're looking at the name of the title, how it relates to you as well, and probably your own audience and things like that. And
Yeah.
hopefully I've got the right image on screen now because
Yes.
I'm a boomer and I can't even work Zoom, right? Hopefully everyone can see. So there's the album artwork, there's the song, and look, just a little simple
Yes.
message with an email contact. Great, right? That's nice and easy. Very good. Okay, so who would you like to talk about next?
Let's talk about. I can't actually remember the artist's name, but I really liked it. The one who submitted like the whole album.
Oh, Hugo. Yeah, that was
Hugo.
yeah,
Yeah.
Hugo really stood out. So let me do this. And actually I went for a walk to the shop and I played his album and I was like, what is this?
Yeah.
And at first I was like, that's too simple. Because he does a song called Down the Rabbit Hole, and then I was like,
Mm.
that's really catchy.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about Hugo isn't just the music, as I'll show you now in a moment. So why did you choose Hugo? And I'll put it on screen.
So yeah, Hugo, loved your submission, because I just thought it was so thorough and like showed a lot of time and effort and care, and that you like really meant business, And I was like, love that. And then listening to the tracks, I like had a bit of a listen to. I wasn't sure like if there was a main one that you were meant to for us to listen to, but I listened to a bit of Down the Rabbit Hole, and I think Pretty Boy and maybe a bit of Hugo's Prayer as well. I can't remember, but all of them were so well produced and made, and I was just like I was just so impressed, and I was like, wow, I'm a fan. So yeah.
I was listening and I was like, where are we going?
Yeah, but it's just cool, and there's a lot, but it's so well produced.
And he moves into, if I he's got a nice little hook on it with the whoopsie daisy bit, hasn't he?
Yeah, and I love your voice, and so is your album out? Because I want to listen to it all on my playlist.
So there you go. Well played, Hugo. And then we've got one more
in June. Nice.
That you chose as well, and that's
Yes.
and this one jumped out at me as well. It was there's a couple of interesting things about this one. Well, let me put this on screen just now to share. But this is Jess Martin's track. Why did you choose this one?
So this one, I just honestly, I chose all three, like the three today that I'm showing you guys, because I'm showing you how varied it can be, because they're all very different styles of submissions. Like this one is really kind of, bare bones of a submission. But obviously I listened to it, and your voice just caught me off guard. And I was like, I love this. I immediately added this to my playlist straight away, like before this meeting.
Let's give everyone a quick listen then to Jess Martin's song, off script.
Never mistake you to your line. Said the right things at the right time. All of your lies were ticking boxes, but your disguise is wearing off you. 'Cause now you're making me cry. And when you wanted to play the part, you played it oh so well. I forgot you're an actor, so convincing I could hardly tell. And you gave me the best seat in the house, I gave a standing ovation. And I've been waiting for the encore, but I'm starting to lose my patience, my patience, my patience. Are you done entertaining? Now I've gone off script. Did you think you had me whipped?
Super catchy, super poppy.
Yay.
I get it. And a bare bones submission, but interestingly, Jess has included the lyrics, and then in the track notes a bit of the story as well. So
Yes. Sorry.
job.
Well, I didn't even see that, but it still stood out to me. So,
Yeah.
But yeah, I just loved it. I thought like such good songwriting as well, and like immediately everyone was invested. It's giving me like Neve Ella vibes. If anyone knows my music taste, it's very much Neve Ella.
And that's an important thing as well, is like these are your music tastes for your music show and for your audience, and you're considering what will work for, let's say, BBC, that day of the week, that time of the day, that month in the year or the season. There's rhymes and reasons why a song works in December but won't work in the summer. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And again, it comes back to resilience and a bit of patience and timing. Timing is everything for pitching in to people. So I really appreciate everyone taking the time to submit. I have shared everything with Jodie as well, and I know Jodie is very methodical in her music listing, and I know this because Jodie uses Songbox and gets a lot of submissions, and we know she listens to everything. You listen to more music than I do, Jodie. Fair play.
Yes. Can I just reply to one question from Lucy, because
let's get to the questions now. Yeah.
This. Oh yeah, sorry. I thought you were ending it, and I was like, "Oh, we need to answer
No.
this question."
No. We've got to get some Q&A here.
Okay, fine. Basically, pitching time-wise, you should submit to BBC Introducing 2 weeks or a week before, like within that time frame, and you should submit to Spotify 4 to 6 weeks in advance. They like it if you're very organized.
Great advice. So 2 weeks for the BBC, 4 to 6 for Spotify or Apple Music playlists.
Yes, because I went to a Fresh Find Spotify day and they actually told us that, and I was like, "This is great news."
That is great insight. Let me pick a few questions. If anyone's got some questions, it's 15-minute warning on the webinar ending, and let's take a few questions, and let me go through this. So everyone's got some great comments here, great community. Love to see everyone just interacting with each other, and
You're so nice, guys. Thanks for being so active.
You want interactive and you want supportive. Everyone is here to help each other, because I'll tell you what, the music business, as everyone knows, is very, very difficult, right? So being
Very difficult
and helpful is really, really valuable. Okay, I'm looking. There's just so many good comments, right? Okay, let me try to find a question. Hold on a minute. There's a lot of love and not a lot of questions, right? Here we go.
Okay.
Zoom user, interesting name. Would you structure a pitch for a single differently to a pitch for a whole project, like an EP or an LP even? So a single pitch versus an album pitch. Any thoughts?
I think yes, just like naturally I would, because you probably would have more like foresight and like a longer game plan with an album. But I feel like when you're pitching a single, like you submit the single, but if you're submitting a whole album, I don't know if you'd submit a whole album to BBC Introducing. But Spotify wise, I know that they just like you to look as far into the future as possible. Like they like to know what are your future plans, like what are you doing to like elevate the release. So in that sense, I maybe would structure it similarly, but obviously you'd be broader because you'd be talking about an album, a project.
That makes sense. And again, great advice if you're pitching, you know, the kind of streaming services for playlists or whatever, show them your body of work rather than a particular song.
Yeah.
Questions are starting to flow in now, so I'm going to start flying through them. Andrew's asked, Jodie, how important are the visuals? So that's a good question because we didn't really talk about, like, just on the examples we showed, you can have album artwork and you can show your music videos and your images. How important visually? So you're listening intently, but visually, how important?
I think it's important, but it's important not to spend a lot. So basically, I also have a video coming out about this, but artists who are doing very well at the moment are very visually focused, but they're just doing like one thing over and over again, and it's really working. And none of them, I don't think, are spending tons of money on it. Like Erin LeCount is probably the best example of this. She is just filming herself over and over again in her room, wearing white, wearing a pair of angel wings. And that's probably been like her main investment because they are big. And she kind of like dances around like in these angel wings. Every single video, same, every single video. And, you know, they've been getting, you know, 40K, 80K, 70K consistently for months now. She just released her EP. Her last two singles from the EP hit 1 million streams within the first week of releasing. Like, and she, at the beginning of this year, she didn't even have 10,000 followers, but she just created that visual herself. I don't think it's worth getting a crew, getting a team, making a music video. There's just no point at the moment at this stage. Obviously, if you have the funds and you want to do it, but it's not going to make or break the song.
If you can do something nice and creative, do it, but don't go Hollywood because there's no need. Okay. Really quick fire question. If you're submitting music to you in the BBC, can you do it from outside of the UK? Is that acceptable?
To me personally, for like voices or just like saying listen to my song, yes, but I don't think you can submit to BBC Introducing if you don't live in the UK, because it's all local stations to every county.
Gotcha.
But like personally, for like my playlist, Voices Radio and like on Radio 1 we play artists from anywhere.
Okay, cool. Another quick
if you have a link to somewhere in the UK, or like if you lived somewhere or like went to uni in Brighton, for example, you could apply. But it's like if you're just like from Australia, you can't.
You can, right? Okay, and that's just for the BBC Introducing everyone. Obviously keep pitching all the DJs and presenters, but that question was about BBC Introducing. Couple of questions I'm just picking up here. Question from Jahan Shah is like, how important is it whether it's a short song or a long song? So I suppose reinterpreting that question, Jodie, someone sends you a 3-minute song, great, but if someone sends you a 6 or a 7-minute epic, are you bothered? Are you not bothered?
For radio, a 6 or 7 would immediately warrant a question of where's the radio edit, because there's just no point even listening to it. I know some people don't like that, but it's true. It's not my decision. Like even an artist that I literally love so much the other day sent me her new song, and it's for nearly 5 minutes, and I was like, mate, how am I going to pitch this to the radio? Like, you need to send me a radio version. I know Defying Gravity is about 8 minutes, and they actually did play that on Radio 1 Breakfast a few months ago, but I think that was a very one-off, and I know it threw the timings into spin. I spoke to the producer after that happened, and they were like, it was a nightmare.
And that's an age-old problem in radio, is because radio is such an attention medium that it likes, whether it's commercial or public, it likes to play as many songs
Yeah.
as possible in the hour. So if your song is 7 or 8 minutes long, it does make it challenging for the programmers. And I could
It
get a
does.
whole other
Like,
conversation about why that is, but yeah.
yeah, like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes, 3 minutes, max like 3:20. 3.5 is probably pushing it
Yeah.
for the radio. But
Yeah, and
obviously,
that's why we have radio
yeah,
edits as
yeah,
well, right?
yeah. If you make a song that's like 6 minutes, just make a 3-minute version.
Yeah.
If you can. I know it's hard.
There are an amazing raft of questions coming in, and I'm gonna do my best. So let me give another couple of quick fires. A good one from Sean. Could I submit music from last year? So I don't think he's talking about like a time machine or Back to the Future or anything. I think he's meaning that if he submitted music but it was made in 2024 or maybe even earlier, I don't know. Does that count against? Does it matter? Do you care?
I don't care. I don't think like BBC Introducing doesn't care as well, but if there's an influx of new music, which as you can see, there always is an influx of new music, it's not really gonna be a priority because why aren't you submitting a newer track? It's like a lot of, all these editorials or like radio or like presenters as well, they like to see progression and like a journey. So if you're submitting a track from 2023, you're like, why what have you been doing since then? In a way. But always worth a try. Like I wouldn't be like, no.
So here's a question, and this is interesting because I remember you telling me how much of I'm gonna not swear, which is very unusual for me, but I'm gonna be wholly professional and say when we spoke earlier this year, and you were using Songbox and you were looking for a solution to help you manage the volume of music you were listening to, and I said, well, we have this thing called Inbox, and you actually helped us improve Inbox, as most of our customers and users do by telling us, what's better. What is the best way for someone to pitch, not just you, but kind of DJs, presenters, or whatever? Is it literally slide into their DMs on Instagram, or is there something smarter? Is it get the email address? What is the most pleasant way?
I do think it's such a hard question. Like there's so many ways to reach someone. But I would honestly say just try them all. So I would say, drop a friendly email, slide into the DMs. With me personally, like the DMs is probably the least likely to work because my DMs are like mental and I just can't seem to figure them out, guys. But like, yeah, emails, or like if I'm on a TikTok live, or like catching a presenter at the right time, or like in the comments on a video of something that maybe, this is always a tip I give. I'm like, comment on a video or post that's not actually doing that well for that person. And just be like, first of all, engage with it and be like, love this, like, like what, like love what you were wearing or something, and then throw in the like, by the way, like in a comment, because comments stay there forever. And if it's a post that's not doing that well, because some posts just do better than others, I'd always say it's worth commenting, engaging with that, going and meeting the person if possible, but like not in a stalkery way, just like engaging with their events. Or like I've met so many people by just going to events where I knew they were going to be there, and kind of speaking to them a bit first and then going off and DMing them on Instagram, then being like, so nice to meet you. Like if someone messages me, so nice to meet you, or like you said this, or like, and I remember the conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, I did. That did happen. It's not just, again, it's just not a cold call.
Yeah, not a cold call. And you know what? And that's a great place to kind of end the webinar, Jodie, because that's real advice. It's just be human and be cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, don't just slide into the DMs and just go for like brute force kicking the door in. Just try to, and don't be a stalker either, but just just try to engage.
It's a fine line. It's a fine line.
It is a fine line, and just try to engage. And you know what? If you, again, just be resilient, be persistent, and timing, right? And just try to get that moment. And if you don't get that moment, don't worry about it. You know, try the next thing and try the next thing, or the next DJ, the
Yeah.
next radio station, the next gig, playlist, whatever. Just keep going. And you know, it's it's bloody hard, and we all get tired, but just keep going, right?
Someone said I sound like Florence. I get that I sound like Florence Pugh all the time. I take it as quite a compliment, to be fair. It'd be better if you said I looked like her as well. That'd be nice.
Well, you know, on that note, before I start saying all sorts of stuff, this was excellent to have you on the webinar, Jodie. Thank you for your time.
Thanks.
Thanks
for
looking
having me,
into this.
guys.
No,
Thanks for
listen.
coming to the webinar.
I think you have given some brilliant advice and guidance to so many people, and yeah, this is what it's all about. So thank you for doing the Songbox session, Jodie. Have a great day, great evening, and thank you to everyone for tuning in, and take care of yourselves. See you again.
Thanks, guys. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks all. Bye-bye.
Have music that you need to share privately? Is it pre-release? Work in progress? What are you using now? A generic file transfer service? Email? It's time for something better, something faster, smarter, and secure. Built specifically for the music industry. Songbox is used by multi-platinum and Grammy-winning artists, songwriters, and producers from all over the world. This is how professionals store and share their music. Songbox is simple. Upload your tracks, images, videos, and artwork to create your first Songbox in minutes or seconds, depends how fast you are. Share music securely with a private streaming link. Give your listeners a premium Spotify-like experience with images, videos, lyrics, and notes. And they don't even need to create an account. Songbox shows you who's interacting with your music, who's listening, to what tracks, how many times, and for how long. Songbox keeps your files safe with industry-leading security. You can add passwords, expiration dates, embargo dates, and kill the link at any time. Share your work worry-free. Do all this and a lot more. The biggest artists, songwriters, composers, and producers in the world choose Songbox. Sign up and create your first Songbox today. It only takes a few minutes to share smarter and more securely.